It's Sci Time!
Who's ready for some science awesomeness? Welcome to It's Sci Time.
Today, we're uncovering the secrets of ionic and covalent substances.
Have you ever noticed that some substances take forever to melt while others disappear into a puddle in seconds? What's behind this magical difference? It's time to uncover the secrets of chemistry.
Why do salts placed on top of rice pots don't melt?
Are you ready? It's Sci Time!
Compounds. In our everyday lives, we can deny the fact that we encounter different forms of compounds. So what are compounds? These are chemical substances made up of two or more elements that are chemically bound together in a fixed ratio. This just means that when two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom combine through what we call a covalent bond, a water molecule is formed.
There are types of compounds formed based on their bonds. We have the ionic compounds and the covalent compounds. First, ionic compounds. These are chemical compounds composed of ions held together by electrostatic forces termed ionic bonding. They are neutral overall but consist of positively charged ions called cations and negatively charged ions called anions. Examples of ionic compounds include your sodium chloride, which is commonly known as your table salt, and sodium fluoride, which is a component of toothpaste. Ionic compounds are formed between a metal element, which is your cation, and a non-metal element, which is your anion. In an ionic bonding, the metal element donates an electron to the non-metal element, achieving stability. Next, we have the covalent compounds, which are molecules formed by the covalent bonds, in which the atoms share one or more pairs of valence electrons. And these compounds are formed between two non-metal elements. Most of the non-metal elements have half or more than half of valence electrons in their respective valence shell. During covalent bonding, the two non-metal elements share electrons to achieve stability. The molecules in a covalent compound are held together by intermolecular forces, and these forces are very weak. The property of ionic and covalent substances that we are going to discover in this video is melting point, which is the temperature at which a solid substance changes state to become a liquid. Let's now investigate the melting points of ionic and covalent substances using a candle, sugar, and salt. Which one will melt first, the sugar or the salt? If you want to try this cool experiment at home, just remember to ask a grown-up for help, especially when using a candle. They can guide you through it and make sure everything stays safe and fun. Time for the experiment.
For 30 seconds, observe which one melts first when both spoons are subjected to heat, the spoon with sugar or the spoon with salt.
Let's dive deeper into the fascinating world of melting points and explore the differences between ionic and covalent substances. What type of compound is salt? How about sugar? Salt is an ionic compound, while sugar is a covalent compound. Why does sugar melt instantly compared to salt? Sugar melted quickly because it has a lower melting point than salt, which needs much higher heat to melt.
What causes the sugar to have a low melting point? Sugar has weak molecular bonds, covalent bonds that break easily when heated, causing it to melt quickly.
What causes the salt to have a high melting point? Salt has strong ionic bonds between sodium and chlorine ions, requiring a lot of heat to break and melt.
How do the melting points of ionic and covalent substances compare? Ionic substances have high melting points, hence they require a large amount of heat to be able to break the bonds between them and melt them, while covalent substances have low melting points which only need a small amount of heat to melt them down. Let's go back to our primary inquiry question: why do salts placed on top of rice pots don't melt? Salt is an ionic compound with a very high melting point, while the steam from the rice pot is far below this temperature, so it doesn't provide enough heat to break the strong ionic bonds and melt the salt.
Time to recap! Check out this concept map to visualize the key connections between ionic and covalent compounds and their melting points.
Real-world connection ahead. Let's put your new knowledge into action and explore how ionic and covalent substances impact our everyday lives.
Pedro sliced butter onto a sizzling pan for buttered shrimp. It melted in 10 seconds, surprising him. "Wow, that's fast!" he exclaimed. Buttery aroma filled the air and his stomach growled.
Based on what you have read and heard, what can you conclude about the composition of butter and why it melts so quickly? Butter is composed of covalent compounds due to its covalent structure, which require only a small amount of heat to break the weak intermolecular forces between the molecules. Butter has a low melting point. This means that butter can easily melt when exposed to temperatures above its melting point, which is why it melts quickly when heated on a pan.
Thanks for joining us on this SciTime adventure. We'll catch you again in our next episode, packed with more exciting science discoveries.